Have you ever noticed how life gives you these A words that make everything look official? Aced, allowed, authorized, able. Those are power words. Those are the words that say you passed, you're cleared, you're good to go. My daughter just turned 16 and got her driver's license today. She aced her test. She is legally allowed to drive. She is authorized by the DMV, and on paper, she is fully able. That's the A list. And the A list feels definitive. It feels like the final stamp. You can now do the thing you've been dreaming of. But the real world doesn't run on A words alone, because right behind A comes the B's. And the B words that create the gap between what you can do and what you should do are quite different. The B words, they sound like this: but, because, boundaries, breaks, better judgment, bandwidth, becoming. Life doesn't just ask, are you allowed to? It also asks you, but is this the moment that you should? Because is this the condition? What are the boundaries? Where do you need the breaks? Do you have the discernment? Do you have the judgment? Do you have the bandwidth? And are you still becoming the person who can handle this fully? And here's where it gets really interesting. Sometimes there are two authorizing bodies. All right, let's think about this. The authorizing body, the DMV, the authorizing body, the mom. And the two authorizing bodies say, here's what you can do. Two voices with legitimate power, but they don't necessarily agree. For my daughter, it's simple. The DMV says she can drive. Her mother says she can drive, but not everywhere, but not always. Both authorizing bodies are real. Both matter. And yet, they are completely different lenses on readiness. That's the discrepancy between the A and the B, between you're allowed and you're ready, between you passed and you can handle the risk, between it's legal and it's wise, between this is permitted and this is appropriate. This is where people really get stuck. Not because they don't have permission, nor ability, not even because they have authorization, but because they don't know which authority to listen to. How do you choose between two governing bodies? How do you know when the law says yes, but your gut says no? When the system says go, but your circumstances say, pause. When the title says you're capable, but the experience isn't there yet. When the world gives you the A, but your life is asking you to honor the B. And this is not just about driving, you guys. This is about professionals, the hits and the misses all the time. You're promoted, but you don't feel prepared. You're allowed to lead, but you don't have the support. You're authorized to make decisions, but you don't have the information. You're able, there's your A1, to take on more, but your energy is depleted. You're told you're ready, but you know you're still becoming. This is the readiness gap, the gap between external approval and internal preparedness, between authority of a system and the authority of your reality. And when those two authorizing bodies collide, only one question matters. Which one protects your future? Which one keeps you safe? Which one aligns with your long-term growth? Which one has the full context, not just the criteria? Which one sees the whole you, not just the checkbox version of you? Just because you're allowed to do something, and you know this, doesn't mean it's the right moment. And just because you're authorized doesn't mean you're equipped. And just because you're legal doesn't mean you're ready. Just because something is permitted doesn't mean it's wise. Between A and B, there is a gap. And that gap can be everything. It's the space where judgment lives. It's the space where maturity lives. It's the space where experience grows. It's the space where timing is refined. It's the space where your next level is built. It's the space where you become someone new. And here's the part nobody teaches. A-level validation is about capability, and B-level wisdom is about capacity. A says you can, B says, but should you? A says you're approved, B says, are you prepared? A says you're free to go, and B says, but is this the right route now and the smartest move? A says you've met the requirement, B says, but life has other variables that weren't on the test. The test gets you the license, but the road requires the judgment. That's why decisiveness becomes so important, and why discernment is a higher skill than achievement. Because readiness isn't about what's allowed, it's about what's aligned. And that's where the GAPTrax framework lives. This is why I do this. In the space between the A and the B, between permission and preparedness, between capability and capacity, between external approval and internal alignment. A makes it official, B makes it safe. The gap between them makes it wise.